Halito Wakana. Hello, friends. Chimichukma, how are you? The program is Red Hoop Talk, first one of 2026. Not just that, we are in the midst of the 100th episode. So, to honor this 100th episode, we are going to interview the instigator that started it all. Do we call her the godmother? Shannon O'Loughlin, welcome to the program.
I like it. The godmother of the association. I'll take that one.
Right? We don't
like
kiss,
better
we don't
than
kiss the
CEO.
ring. We kiss the sage. No, I'm kidding.
Here's my rings.
See? Good. So whenever I imagine anniversary shows, like when we hit the 25th year of my radio program and things like that, the first thing that comes to mind, because I'm an 80s baby, is clip shows. You know how they always stick in the clip show to every season? But we're not doing that today because you handed this over to me with 80 episodes already stacked up. So there is no way to reflect on 80 episodes. That's a lot to juggle. I don't even remember last Tuesday. So I'm not expecting you to go back to episode 1.
Well, let's get reoriented, because not everyone may know who I am. I mean, they'll know who you are, but I may be an anonymous person. So can I introduce myself a little bit?
Please.
Okay. Hello. I'm Jennifer Robin. Oh, no, that's what you say. I'm Shannon O'Loughlin. I don't know if you said I'm citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma as well, with close ties to Poland. Yeah, whatever. So I'm Polish and Choctaw, and there's a little Irish in there as well. Got to get that colonizer blood mixed in well. And I serve as the CEO and attorney for the Association on American Indian Affairs. And Red Hoop Talk has been just really has come out of a heart space, right? It started during COVID, when we were all struggling to communicate and to express ourselves and to connect, because we couldn't connect to anyone. So we became really accustomed to these Brady Bunch boxes, and we're still going. And I'm really grateful that you took the helm, Jennifer, to do this.
I am shocked every month that you guys handed it to me. But we have to be super cousins, because my family that settled in Texas comes from Irish blood and Wendish blood, which is like kind of a Polish, that part of Europe, I think we were like gypsies, right? So I'm telling you, like, I should be on your Christmas card list level of cousin, I feel, with you. But we'll dig into that on another episode.
Yeah, well, for sure. And I don't know any of my European ancestry, so I only know my Choctaw ancestry, because that's who raised me, right? My father ran away, and well, actually, he didn't know that I was conceived, and so he didn't find out until I was 50 years old that he had this other daughter. And then he decided he didn't want to know who I was. Yeah, well, so I don't know anything about that part of my family. But I do know that they're full on freaking 100% Polish, which I don't know what that kind of Indian that makes me. Because for the longest time I had this story from my family, and that's all we understood, that I was Irish and Choctaw. So I was Shannon O'Loughlin, Irish and Choctaw. And now, to find out I'm Polish, I had to start eating like pierogies, and I it's just kind of like bad fry bread, if you ask me. So anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. Jennifer, get me on track here.
Well, it's interesting, because that's kind of the opposite of a lot of people's experience, that there's like a story about being Native, but they're not sure and don't know what that means. And that's super interesting. We got Irish. My Cherokee poppy was a Sims, so we kind of know where we got Irished along the way.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And my O'Loughlin, that's my grandfather's name. I was adopted by them. And so I took his Irish name but yeah, isn't that interesting? I never thought about it that way, that I'm kind of backwards, but that would, that seems to track since I'm Polak, right? So, or at least that's what the derogatory.
But you can say it now because you are, right?
Because I am. Oh, okay. That's right. That's right. Hey, all right. I got
Yeah,
permission to
yeah.
be derogatory about myself. That's great.
Now, we had a little conversation before, and you mentioned something to me about being close to culture, but you chose academia over culture. But I think that you being an intelligent Indigenous woman is very cultural and close to culture, right? Because we weren't idiot cave people.
No, hell no. Oh God, no. And I guess it was, so when I started my academic career, what really motivated me, because I was kind of late to school, it took me like 11 years to get an undergraduate degree because I just kept going in and out. I started as an acting major or theater major because they wouldn't let me in the acting program because I guess I was not a good actor. But and so when I finally felt that fire, and it was when I took I was at Fullerton Junior College here in Southern California. Because, by the way, I'm currently residing in the lands of the Tongva and Gabrielino people, otherwise known as Long Beach, California. So I'm here. But I went to Fullerton Junior College and took an American Indian Studies class. And I started talking to my grandmother about the things that I was learning in that class. Like that it wasn't until the kind of late 90s that it was actually legal to speak our languages in school, right? And
The
all
1990s,
yes, the 1990s.
1990s.
Yeah. And it wasn't that long ago, and that a lot of our rights have really been current. And so my grandmother lived through a time since the early 20s of having to leave their homelands, having their cattle all killed, having their lands taken, having to pay taxes on their allotment, like going through all of these issues, and boarding schools. And my grandmother coming into adulthood and getting close to journeying on and wondering about her life and what it was all about. And here I was coming with this information, finally learning about, who we were as peoples and how we were thought of by, the United States and its population, and brought that back to her. And then she finally understood it, connected to her, why her mother, her full-blood Choctaw mother, was treating her the way she did, right? Why she wouldn't speak the language, why when all the kids came into the kitchen, all the adults would shut up speaking Choctaw, right? And why she was so mean and angry all the time, and among other things, and trials and tribulations. But that's what I got to give to my grandmother through going to school, and saw her come to peace with who she was and kind of understand her past, so that she could journey on, and she did. When I got into University of Arizona in Tucson, and was doing my master's in law degree there. But the time with my grandmother really inspired me to find another way of looking at the world, because the one I was looking at wasn't working. And when I looked at the history of her life and in Indian affairs, it's not working. So what can I do to change the course of at least my family's life, maybe my nation's life and maybe others, right? So I went to freaking law school.
That's a huge commitment, though. That's not like taking a weekend course on tribal governance or, a random
Go
topic.
take a weekend course on tribal governments. Please, everybody should take a weekend course in tribal
Well,
governance.
you're going to be the one teaching it, but that's a huge commitment, right? Of your time, your brain space to bring that to us, because there are so many things that are not just legal or illegal, but we also just accept, right?
Yeah.
So
Like some of our tribal leadership.
yes. And you're taking a sip of water rights, a lot of those early agreements that got looked over. So to me, I guess the law and understanding the society we live in is a cultural thing. You're like a word warrior,
Yeah. And I often fail, and we all do, and I think working in Native country is one of the hardest jobs you'll ever have, because everything is so palpable. All of that history, all that pain, as well as all the hope and culture and beauty and connection that we all say we have, right? Yeah, I'm going off the deep end here, Jen.
but we need you to. That's why we pay you the big bucks. No, but it feels like bureaucracy and the government is a language that is overwhelming. It doesn't make sense. And during Standing Rock, I learned about the canon of construction, where you actually had to explain things in a way that people understand it. Mm-hmm. Right? We've been screwed over. We don't want to deal with. There's a lot of wounds around working with the government. Mm-hmm. And so it takes good size ovaries to get in that space to learn how to fight those battles for us. It's a lot of us get overwhelmed and shut down, or 3 words into it where, look, where's the dictionary? It's, and I feel like some of it's complicated on purpose.
Well, yeah, that's what I intimately learned about the practice of law. And why there's always going to be lawyers. They've made themselves indispensable in our current world and society. And so, and they can't make it easy. They can't make it simple. They can't be relational. They have to separate it because it's special knowledge and put it in this special language so that only they can understand and speak it. I mean, it kind of sounds like a cult or something, right? But yeah, that's the systems that set up all the things that exist in our capitalism.
But look at when, the Dancing Rabbit Creek Treaty, 1830 something, right? Mm-hmm. The Choctaw people, we were taken to Washington, gotten drunk, given prostitutes, and then signed agreements that had these big gaps above it that they can write stuff in. So I guess to me, I truly see how valuable it would have been and how maybe things would have been different if there was a Shannon there going,
Sure. Well, I'm sure I was in some other life doing whatever I was supposed to be doing then, right? But yeah, and it's what's really interesting about the practice of law and also just leadership in Native country is that we think that we're indispensable. Like we think we no longer consider ourselves trusted advisors. It's like we consider ourselves leadership.
You can't do it without me. Look at what I got you.
Right. And this is what the colonizers have given us and has given this profession, right? We have this level of power. I mean, I remember when I passed the bar and all of that happened, and I would start introducing myself as an attorney, and you would feel people like back off or like, ooh, it was kind of like something, unique or special when in reality we're just bags of potato chips, right? Lawyers, that's all we are. And how Native nations should be working with their attorneys, because there's a lot of self-interested attorneys in Native country out there, unfortunately, is finding someone who will give you the full story and provide options. You know, here are the different things that'll happen if you choose this path, or this path. It's not the attorney's job to make that decision. It's the nation, the sovereign nation, to make that decision. But they need to be able to trust an advisor to give them those options. So we're just a bag of chips, different flavors, different ridges, you know, kettle cooked.
Mostly air in the bag. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Pringles, you know, yeah. I consider myself maybe a Pringles type of
okay, not a Cheeto, you guys.
You know, everybody wants to be the spicy Cheeto, but I think because there's an orange person in office, like I just don't, anything that's orange, I try to.
No, and
we're going to have to change the color to show our respect and care for children in boarding school, because the orange, you know, we just need a new color for that, I think.
Or make it a brighter orange than his orange. No, you know, and back to the beginning of Red Hoop Talk, I think you creating a heartfelt space of honesty and real conversation and kind of the things that we do have to do to stay close to culture. And I, you know, talking to a Brazilian friend last night, he kept asking me, well, what are you going to do, Jiff? And in a lot of that conversation, I don't know. You speak of sovereignty. Is that something that we can lose in the next 3 years?
Yes. I really don't want to answer that question with a yes, but my concern is, first, I think I'm so grateful that finally the Lumbee Nation has been recognized, right? I'm so grateful. We're now 575 federally recognized tribes, but it's about time that Lumbee were recognized. But not everyone agrees with that. And there are some tribes, particularly the Eastern Band of Cherokee, Shawnee, Miami, Cherokee, Oklahoma, and probably some others, a few in California, are very much opposed to state recognized tribes. We're very much opposed to the Lumbee Nation getting recognized, unfortunately. And I saw Cece for a second.
It just got flashed.
I hope we're not having technical issues. And I worry that we're going to see backlash from those nations that oppose any other kind of recognition of anyone else, because it could infiltrate their own gaming interest, right? So what I'm worried that we might see are bills popping up that cut off funding and support for anyone else except federally recognized tribes. Because right now, the definition of Indian tribe is broader than that. The definition of Indian tribe includes not just federally recognized tribes, but also Indians tribes that receive services from the federal government because of their status as Indians. That's how Lumbee was getting support with healthcare and other services before they were federally recognized, and how some other nations get health support, get ag support, and other things, but they're not federally recognized. But different agencies have different programs like that. So there's some folks that are working to cut that off, is my concern. And to me, that is a loss of our sovereignty. That's a loss of our brothers and sisters that we should be protecting. The history of us even being recognized and non-recognized is fairly recent. Yeah. And it's a political thing now.
Well, if you respect somebody's sovereignty, then like, you know, Mississippi, Choctaw, Oklahoma, Choctaw, they both have different enrollment. Some things I respect the sovereignty of this one, and I expect the respect this, So
Yeah.
I guess you can't be like, I'm going to use my sovereignty to not let somebody be sovereign. Like it just doesn't make like.
No, it's yeah. And the struggle that so many of our nations have had with their sovereignty and why they would and I think a lot of it's financial, but others will throw in the, well, who's legitimate and who's not, and kind of, throw the ball in different directions instead of actually let's handle what the issues are. Is it funding issues? How can nations support one another financially? So help building business of another nation in which you would also earn support on and build our nations up. Why aren't we spending our energy doing stuff like that? Hey, I wanted to mention, because I posted all over Facebook or wherever today for people to ask questions. Like if you want to ask me any questions about the association or Red Hoop Talk or what I do on a Saturday night or whatever the hell, feel free to folks to ask questions.
Yeah, you spend your Saturday nights being a momager. You got yourself a Hollywood kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yes, I go to Hollywood often. North Hollywood.
It's so good. So on this topic, I live in Southern Sierra Miwok territory that is not federally recognized, even though they are the most federally documented tribe, because again, that tied to Yosemite National Park. So we had the Oak Fire, destroyed hundreds of homes. Like we're still not all the way recovered from it. But the tribe wasn't eligible for a lot of these federal services because they weren't acknowledged. So we had to piggyback with support of like the Chugchansi tribe, which is acknowledged with the casino, or go all the way over to Black Oak, 60 miles. Like, they had to umbrella us to actually get the support during this horrific time. It was politically insane.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least they helped and supported you, right?
Yeah. So not everybody did those. A lot of people, not my problem, not my tribe, right? Yeah. And looked away. But I think too, when it comes to Indian affairs, it was started being labeled from the foundation, the Indian problem. So somewhere in everybody's subconscious, that they know it or not, we are a problem. If we win, that means somebody else loses. Right? If we get land back, well, that means somebody else. Tribe got some land back in Yosemite. First questions. Well, is it open to the public? Well, what are you just going to get a casino? Like people just went insanely angry over like these people getting a little bit of what they had back hundreds of years later.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it, we are so as people disconnected. It seems like if everyone learned how to be grateful for 10 minutes a day, we could change the trajectory of this world. Right? Like if people would just stop and be grateful for what they have, where they're standing, the air, hopefully it's clean, the water that they're drinking, 10 minutes a day, man, the world would be a completely different place. I don't understand that mentality. And it can't just be indigenous people that are connected that way, right? Don't other cultures?
We all come from somewhere that understood the land.
Right. Right. But we also came, because I grew up in the 80s, right? So I graduated high school in 86. If anyone wants to do the math on that to figure out that I'm 57 years old. But, we grew up in the 80s, and it seemed like then people were considerate of one another. They were just considerate, and it wasn't about being woke or having to speak. It's like people won't even go out of their way to just recognize that there's other people taking space up around them and that they should be nice. It used to be that way, but it's not anymore.
You didn't agree, but you were still respectful and polite. And if you didn't like somebody, you just stayed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite simple.
Yeah, we all seem to have some kind of basic understanding of how we can exist in this world being different, right? I mean, there was definitely systemic racism and that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to discount that. But just people in walking down the street, that kind of those interactions, those relationships, because they are relationships, man. We're sharing air together. I want to recognize you. I'm going to smile at you. That's who I am, and that's what I want. I want. I guess if it was, I had one goal for our, the association, it would be to have more people understand the place with which they're standing, right? And have that experience of that connection. That would be my one goal, if I could give everyone that gift. And so I think that's what we do through all of the programs in the association. Well, Jennifer, what do you think about how Red Hoop Talk's going and what impact it's having?
I am used to community radio where you judge your impact on a smaller sphere, right? So my success is based on my community support. So it's very different on this national YouTube people looking. It's different on a bigger scale, but I feel that we come from a good place, an honest place, in a good way, a respectful way. All these episodes live on, right? So no matter what, each little light bulb or light switch that goes on, people can revisit. I've met a bunch of people at powwow that, what happened to the other lady? When I give them a Red Hoop Talk sticker, they're like deeply concerned about the other lady. And I'm like,
the other lady?
Yeah, I listened to her. So it's like,
no, they did not do that, Jen.
I've had at least a handful. And I've texted Cece randomly too, like, Shannon's got weird fans.
I probably do have weird fans. Who are
the best? But all we can do is keep putting this out there. And this podcast is a library amongst itself with a variety from other attorneys to marijuana topics to healing topics to arts to it's such an honest insight to who we are that I think it is going to be effective at just at least bridging curiosity.
Yeah. Well, and I would love us to tackle controversial stuff. Like, I feel like this was created, even with the aesthetic of it, like just put a big A in that red circle, right? This was meant to kind of be grassroots, 1970s activism, let's just put it all out there. And
I get scared of that because, again, we both come from boarding school Grahams. We were raised by people that wanted to protect us, to keep our head down, to not make a fuss, to be quiet, to show what a good little Indian you are or how colonized you are, and you're not a threat. So when you do poke the bear and support being more, I don't want to say abrasive, but just a little bit more passionate with some of the things that hurt or anger me, part of me closes up. I think we talked about that beginning of last year. Like, this is the first time that I feel there may be a consequence for something I say on a platform that I've done for 15 years, which is weird. It's a weird place to be. Right. So I do take your lead. And when you say, well, just go for it, I really do take that to heart and say, she's a lawyer. She'll bail me out.
No, I probably wouldn't know how to do that.
Well, she'll have at least a referral, right?
Oh, I might have a referral. Though every time I give someone an attorney referral, they go, "Oh no, we can't do that. Oh no, we can't do that."
See,
but well, that's because of the issues that I raised.
No, but it is important to feel that support of the ancestors, and what we're doing is just and is right. And I do have freedom of speech, and a lot of people are going to crumble and look down and be quiet over the next 3 years, and that's not going to help us either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I don't know that, I mean, I've always used my skin color. Like that's given me it's another window that has opened opportunities for me being native, having a native voice, being raised that way, and an advocate is that I've used that to get indoors and help people feel safe for me to smack them. No, I'm really
Yeah.
not. I'm really not that mean. I'm just very centered in what I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
And
Right.
there's
That's
nothing
what my
wrong with
path
that.
is. Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I feel too annoying or pushy, or am I calling them? Well, I'm a producer. Like I have to bug people. That's our job, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're in our right respectable positions with the fire we were born with. So, and
Yeah.
again, the most dangerous woman is an educated one. So I think
Yeah. Like who's going to be knocking on my door after this?
you're the nightmares of old Republican men.
Oh God.
How dare she think for herself? No, and it was honestly believed, these European people really believed that if you overeducated women, their brain would grow and their uterus would shrink. And that's the fall of humanity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Um,
people don't really realize what matriarchal means. It doesn't mean now women are in charge. Some big lost concepts here.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, hugely, hugely. Um, my grandmother used to always, she told me we walk behind the men so we can tell them where to go. Europeans didn't think to actually ask us. Instead, they thought we were subservient to men in different archaeologists and anthropologists. It's like, no, we're making sure, and they should be out in front protecting us, right?
No, you got to get a man to protect you when statistically your spouse or boyfriend is the one that's going to murder you. So I struggle to understand just the logic behind it, and I don't think we can. But all we can do is just keep being honest and pushing forward. Now we have a comment.
Uh-oh.
Can you see it on your end, madam?
I can see it. Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's from Kaylin Matina.
What's up, girl?
I knew her. Hey, Kay. I was told by a mentor that Creator doesn't make mistakes and that some of us were born with built-in camouflage so that we could enter spaces our ancestors never could have, so that we could bring things into the light that no one else can see and hold the door open for our relatives. So that's my similarly shaded.
Yeah, you're not light skin, you're camouflage. That's awesome.
Yeah, camouflage. I'm camo. Camo color.
She undercover. That's fine. It's like our little Indian ninja. I love that, Kane. That was so well put. So speaking of like skin color and weird things like that, there's a film floating around that I haven't seen, so I can't have too much an opinion on at this moment. But you're no Indian, talking about disenrollment of people. You talked about the Lumbee being acknowledged, but then we're unacknowledging. I went to college. Then we're removing people, right? So it's kind of a dizzying mess out there that I think we're making ourselves.
Oh, hell yeah. It's like this big, it's not just federal acknowledgement. It's not just disenrollment. It's identities. It's what we've allowed the conqueror. In this case, I'm calling the colonizer the conqueror because they've conquered our minds and the way that we think about one another.
Yep, and ourselves.
How is it anything else but that? They have conquered our minds. And so we want to disenfranchise our cousins. We want to all separate out. We want to have our own little power, just like, the conqueror has taught us. But the the documentary that you're talking about, I got to see that with my son Wolfgang in Los Angeles, and I was really impressed with the documentary. It seemed to like lay out the facts of the disenrollment issue so that you can make up your own mind about what you're seeing. And I think once people have seen it, it's really elucidated what's going on in our tribal governments. And so it targeted. It's not like the documentary targeted the different nations it focused on, but that's where the controversies have been. So you got to kind of focus in on like Pechanga. They've been a disenrollment tribe.
That's California, right? SoCal, that's your area?
Yeah. It's you've got folks there. You've got folks in the Northwest, like I think Sioux, Seattle, that nation has disenrolled. Chauncey in California disenrolled. And in 2014, I don't know if you remember that like gun takeover at Chauncey.
Yeah, at the casino.
Yeah, the casino takeover or whatever that was. And so we've really learned how to separate one another and find ways to make sure we have the highest per capita.
But they did that to slaves. Let's separate the family. Let's not educate them. Let's not anything. So it seems like if we're too busy slap boxing our cousin over money, then maybe we're not uniting together to start slap boxing our Congress people and our senators.
Yeah. But the movie was really good. I highly recommend it, and to get educated about the issue, because what I'm also learning in this exploration of identities, because we have work in our cultural sovereignty program at the association that's led by June Lorenzo. She's from Laguna Pueblo, and she's also Dene. And she is looking at our identities work. So federal acknowledgement, disenrollment, pretendianism, and issues like that, and how we pull each other apart. Oh hell, what was I going to say about that? But the movie, no, I forgot. It flew out of my brain. Jennifer, what was I about to say?
I don't know. I poked fun at CC once. I said, y'all need to. This organization is run by a lot of women who are all like menopausal and forgetting halfway through conversation. I did that to CC. I said, "Why did I call you?" Oh yeah. Okay. So what's the difference between like pretendianism and I'm just not enrolled? Because it seems like pretendianism tries to use this. Well, I'm not a recognized something to pretend to be something.
I really don't know. I mean, it's unclear, because the individuals the folks who are part of that movement, it's not clear from the types of individuals that they've investigated. Okay. So there are some people that have no connection and are just making it up. And then there are others who have been told, maybe they've had wrong information or whatever.
The term paper genocide.
Right. But to me, I think when we're looking at the issue, just is this kind of like you're either right or wrong, it's black or white, all that kind of like that kind of duality. That's not the world. That's not how we can really resolve issues and conflict. We have to look at it more like a ball or a circle, and that everything's all jammed up and dancing around together, and we've got to figure out how to untangle those things and understand it, versus like, if you're this way, you're right. If you're this way, you're wrong. Or if you're this much Indian or this kind of Indian, then you're legit. If you're this, you're not. It's so much more complicated and difficult than that. But if we all lead with our hearts, right? That's the hope. If you can lead with your heart in conversation and in curiosity.
That's what I was just going to say. Love and curiosity.
That's all we can do for one another. That's the best thing we can do for everyone in the world we live in. Oh, Kathy put a comment. Kathy Corey, hi Kathy. The documentary film You're No Indian is showing in Fresno this weekend on 124 and 125, and a third showing has been added there by demand as the first two shows sold out within hours. They're all doing that.
Yeah, I think
everywhere.
The third one may even be sold out now. Remember I told you about
Oh,
that?
yeah.
And I'm still 90 minutes from Fresno, and that is Chuck Chance territory. So
yeah,
hopefully,
you need to see this movie.
I guess with people seeing or theaters or streaming service seeing the value, the dollar value that this film can get them, hopefully this film does good enough that it gets licensed or picked up, that more of us have access to it.
Yeah.
You know, because I got really used to during COVID seeing new movies and not putting on shoes and having all my snacks and pausing it to go to the bathroom. So
you can't do that in the theater.
No, I'm at, well, wait for it to come out on VHS, gal. That's talk about the 80s. So yes, it's having a huge impact, and it's starting a conversation. And I like what you said, so much of our history and who we are and our identities, things are so complicated and multi-layers, and there isn't necessarily one form of justice to fix all the past wrongs and things like that. So slowing down to topic by topic, logically, calmly, lovingly, curiously,
and in a relationship,
bringing these topics to light is a big deal.
Yeah. But we've got to remember that we're all connected, we're all related, everything is sacred. You know, we've got to remember those basic understanding of the world, and you know, hey, and if you don't know what the hell that means, then just be grateful. You know, just be grateful. Just count. Even if you have one pair of socks, man, I'm grateful. I got one pair of socks, you know, and there are people without one pair of socks. And if you need another pair, I bet your relatives can find you another pair of socks. I don't know. Should we take a break now? I think I might be going off the deep end. Should we?
Sure, but we'll catch you on the other side, or enjoy watching your descent into madness live on YouTube. You know, either way, it makes for good programming.
Okay, yeah. Well, just keep pulling me along. Maybe you can think of some.
I'll put an AIM sticker on your straight jacket. Don't worry, lady. We got you.
Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna. Let's see, because I'm actually producing your show today because you had technical issues.
So I faked it. I just wanted to make you remember how hard I have to work. No.
Yes. Okay, I'm pushing a thing. We're gonna, since the repatriation conference is coming up, and there's freaking free registration available for Native Nation representatives. So go apply for free registration. All right, here's this ad.
Repatriation is more than policy. It is a promise, a sacred responsibility to bring our ancestors home and uphold Native sovereignty. For 11 years, the Repatriation Conference has brought together Native nations, institutions, and allies committed to this movement with clarity, conviction, and collaboration. In 2026, we gather again to feed the fire that has already been lit. This year's fully virtual conference offers practical tools, hands-on training, and cultural grounding to strengthen repatriation work across nations, institutions, and allies. Sessions take place every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday throughout February, and every session will be available for replay so you can stay connected and keep learning all month long. Sponsorships are available for organizations committed to advancing repatriation and supporting Native nations. Registration is free for Native Nation officials, representatives, and museums with small budgets, and discounted rates are available for elders and students. The fire's been ignited. Now, we feed it at the 11th Annual Repatriation Conference. Visit indian-affairs.org to learn more and register.
Kathy Corey, I wish we had a heads up on this. How pretty do you feel right now, Kathy? Let's get you on. She just said there is no money currently being made on the film. It's the cost of tickets being used to pay for the theater rental. So basically, they're selling tickets to break free to give us access to this. So that's kind of a big deal too.
Yeah. They're I think they've got some kind of deal with Regal Theaters or something. And what's interesting about the film too is that they were accepted in a whole bunch of different film festivals, and those film festivals got intimidated and dropped them, and so wouldn't show the film.
Well, that's why they dropped some Grammy native categories. It becomes too quote unquote political, right? And they don't want to quote unquote.
Well, no, they think that they were directly targeted by people in Native country
that don't want
the film to be shown. So yeah, so
that makes it even juicier, all this controversy.
It's really juicy. I mean, Pechanga already sent I don't know if it was Pechanga or Mark Macaro, but they sent the I saw this online, they sent the filmmaker Ryan Flynn cease and desist letter, and I think he had a really good response to that, and it's my understanding that they've dropped that threat after further consideration, but I'm not sure all the details. I'm not sure how much of the details I can share, or if I even know all the details. So.
Well, it starts to get icky and ucky when the cover-up begins, right? Being transparent, talking about it, all that, breath of fresh air. But if you start trying to suppress or start playing these games, then it's going to bring up more interest. We're going to want to know now because it's starting to smell funky, right? And everybody's journalist and nosy neighbor comes out, and we want to know.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting to see an investigative documentary looking at an issue in Native country, because there's not a lot of that exists. There was the one about Annie Mae.
Yep.
Fabulous. Just think if issues like this had that kind of funding and backing, or people with those kind of connections to do something like that.
It doesn't have to be quote unquote retro for it to be important or matter today, right? We don't have to wait for 40, 50 years to go by to go, oh, we should have done something different. Let's do it now. So, okay. You mentioned repatriation conference, your 11th one.
Yes.
What is repatriation? And I just recently read an article that UC Berkeley is considering giving back some indigenous artifacts. So break it down for us a little bit and why this conference is so important.
Oh, man. So repatriation is one of the things that I really cut my teeth on as an attorney. I got a lot of leeway working with the Haudenosaunee Confederacy to work on these issues. That work brought me to have the type of expertise that I do today around NAGPRA, which is the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, which was a piece of congressional legislation passed by bipartisan Congress, signed by one of the Bushes. I forget which Bush it was. One of the Bushes. Old Bush? Was it the old Bush? What am I talking about now?
Bush.
And is really a piece of human rights legislation, right? So repatriation essentially is that our ancestors' bodies, their burial belongings that were buried alongside of them, along with other cultural objects and sacred objects, have been stolen and looted. Even today, that looting is happening in U.S. soil, on federal lands, and otherwise. And so this law allows, or actually requires, mandates the return of those items, regardless of, that they're being held by a museum who wants to show them.
So I guess explain the difference then between a museum hoarding a pillaged artifact and like a native museum, right? Because we all like, I don't know, I'm a big museum fan. I like learning and staring at things I wouldn't normally see in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we love tribal museums, right? The association celebrates Tribal Museums Day in December, and actually we're considering of doing more, like something in the spring as well as in the winter.
Yeah, we got a new one here in Tuolumne Angels Campus. There's a new tribal museum that popped up.
That's great. Oh, that's great. See, and if you think of it, if you think locally, if you want to know what's going on under your feet, that's where you're going to look. You're going to look at the tribal museum, and they're going to tell you about their histories and their connections with the land that you're standing on. I mean, it seems like it's more personal, more intimate. And then you're learning about your neighbor. You're learning about
not somebody telling you about your own people, not some outsider going, you guys used to weave bass. Like, let the grandma tell you that, not
and most like regular Western museum institutions, often you see an item behind glass with a little explanation
that you can't read because we're old.
And it's well, that too, but it's so disconnected, and it often promotes that stereotype that we don't exist.
Yeah, we're a thing of the past.
Because that's all they see. Mm-hmm. And so there's very few institutions that are Western oriented, or even like the National Museum of the American Indian on the Mall in DC, that give those stories from an indigenous perspective, or at least give stories from many perspectives. Like there's this wonderful treaty exhibit at NMAI that talks about how the Native nations thought about treaty making and what that meant to them and how they responded and reacted to it, and then how the colonizers did and what they were trying to accomplish and what their interests were through the treaty process. And we of course know what happened is that someone didn't hold up their side of the deal very well.
No, and here in California there was 1816 some chunk of treaties that got shoved in a drawer and hidden to not be ratified. And I also was told that a lot of the treaties weren't supposed to last more than 99 years because we weren't expected to still be functioning as a tribe or tribal people.
Yeah. So do I think we're going to lose sovereignty in the next 3 years? I think the answer maybe yes to that.
But I was taught that it's the highest law in the land, that these treaties, there is no higher agreement. That like you can like set a Bible or a flag on fire, but heaven forbid you mess with the treaty, right? That's I literally thought a lot of the rights that I was born into, being an 80s baby, were just gonna always be there. So
freedom of speech and of
my body and my
association and my reproductiveness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're not ours anymore, are they?
So how do we, A, not feel insane, but B, navigate these things as a community or kind of with the association? Is that what a lot of your conferences and programs are? If people connect more with the association, they can be a part of the conference or learn about things or feel like they have a power to make change. Because that's where I get shut down. It feels so overwhelming. I just want to be a marmot, dig in the hole. Let's wait out the nuclear winter.
Yeah.
We will start again.
Well, there's that. And that's not a bad idea.
Bring your cats. I got room in my bunker for
a couple of cats.
Yeah.
And a bear.
And a drum set, apparently.
Oh, yes. Drum set, definitely. But it seems like, let's see, where was my brain going?
Well, I want to end on a high note, right?
That
you guys are we're not doomed, right?
No, it's community. It's all about community. And I think all that the association, the best we could ever accomplish, like we can have all the programs in the world, we can do all of these things, and everything that we do. And I think everything any nonprofit seeks to do is really to be of use to provide service and build community, right? We're just trying to connect with people, and we're trying to support people who may need something, right? So it's just community. So so if we're not the right community for you, there's lots of communities, but it's important. You know, I love thinking about living in a cave, but I've come to realize that myself left to my own devices really doesn't give me an opportunity to learn and grow as a human being. It doesn't give me an opportunity to become better, because I think my overall purpose in life is to expand love, and is to grow love, and to make that part of the world where I'm at bigger. And so if I don't interact with anyone, I'm incapable of doing that, you know. And it also makes me feel better, you know. When I interact with people, and on whatever level it is, man, talking about, you know, just some topic at the beach with some stranger, or, you know, you here, or talking about repatriation issues, you know, I feel better afterwards. I feel fulfilled and more whole than I did without that connection. And so I just listen to myself and let myself tell me, you know, remember how that makes me feel and how that gives me joy. And they're all the things that our ancestors taught us to do, right? That we have to live in community, that the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is that you get excluded and banned and have to leave. That's the worst thing that could happen, because you no longer had that community to support you. And we're so individualized now, you know, our brains have been conquered by that need to be individuals and control everything in our destiny, right?
Yes. You are the priority, and then everybody else, versus how do I fit in and how do I lift everybody up?
Yeah. Yeah. But then but priority is me. At the same time, this is what's so weird about my brain right now, probably, is that that giving to others is really giving to myself, right? So and it's really weird, the space that I came to come to that really deep feeling that that we're all one. And I'm really grateful to have those kind of experiences and meditation and the use of some of our cultures and traditions to kind of have to help us reconnect, right? Because sometimes we lose our way out there. Like I felt like I did for a while in academia, you know, kind of lost my way, lost my connection, and had to get it back. I tell people I went to law school, and it took me about 7 years to come back into myself and remember who I was and what I was here to do, because I, you know, the type of thinking that you have to think like in order to be a good attorney. I mean, it's really, here's how you think like an asshole. Go to law school. You'll learn how to think like an asshole. You know, so that's, you know, you have to get out of that, or you have to know how to use it in an appropriate way, and not be an asshole.
See, and I kind of had an opposite experience, that I didn't feel like, I knew I was smart enough, but I didn't feel worthy enough for academia, right? So I stayed closer to culture, and I'm actually starting in the fall for my bachelor's in communication disorders, because I never saw a place. They didn't want me, right? I'm not represented in there. I don't see a lot of people like me in these spaces. So I appreciate you just pushing forward and getting it done, and you doing this and you working on your healing is helping us stay sane, right? So as long as you're just that barely on the cusp of still able to articulate the insanity, we're right there with you.
Well, and I hope you know that they're not worthy of you. I hope you've come to a place where that's reversed itself and you understand that you're.
My perspective is a value. I dropped history 5 times, U.S. history, dropped or effed 5 times because I couldn't stomach. Not because I'm stupid, but I couldn't play the game. And so I think like a summer school semester before I got my AS, I had like a history. I got a C in it, showed up 25%, right? Like it. So I just appreciate your drive and your passion and your fire and your feeding of the fire. I just think you're kick-ass.
Well, thanks, Jen. I think you're kick-ass too, and I'm so grateful to be able to hang out with you in these special moments.
Yes,
we have special moments together.
So where can people connect with you and the association? Just IndianAffairs.org and scroll and click and.
Yeah, I mean, we're everywhere, right? The association is on all the things. Generally, if people want to reach out to me, but I'd rather you reach out to the association. But you can find me on all the socials. Okay. I'm usually Shannon O'Loughlin is I think my handle in most places. I
see a billboard on like I-5, Shannon O'Loughlin. Your basket stolen 3 generations ago. Call Shannon O'Loughlin.
We will fight for you.
Yeah. Oh, got me going. But no, I just think this is a big deal, and I'm pushing for another 100 episodes of the podcast. We had Tiokasin Ghost Horse, 31 years in broadcasting. I'm on my 15th. I'm going to go another 16. Like, I am passionately dedicated to, keeping this going however we can. And even even from our cave, we will be broadcasting from our cave.
Absolutely. And and we'll have a musician there and a guy who can help us with our sound. I've already got that worked out.
Okay, but I need your son to send me to record me a bump that I can just play every time I think I landed a joke on air. I need that.
Do we not have anything like that? Because I think there's like, have you ever messed with this? Oh, there's like,
but I don't have a bump. Yes.
Oh, wait.
No, that's drum roll, please.
That's too long. That's too long.
I need everybody knows to laugh. She's so funny because they got the bump.
There's always.
Don't do that. Tell your son to invoice me for my sounds that I need from him. My random drummer sounds.
Well, you've got one. He's ready. He's ready for you anytime. He'll record that for you. You just tell him what you need.
All right, Shannon O'Loughlin, the Association on American Indian Affairs. Happy 100th, lady. You rock.
Happy 100th, and I look awesome. Okay.
You do that.
Oh, that's not how we want to end, is it?
Oh, I don't know. There's the problem with you is that there's so much. And I feel like if I don't stop talking, we'll be falling asleep on the phone together.
Well, yeah, that's okay. I was hoping, let's ask one more time. See if there's any like lingering questions about anything at all. Is that
we had a comment bring up Nene Speaks on YouTube. So do I have a Nene story? Nene and Soren's Laughing like 10 years ago were on my radio program. And I have this audio, like 3 hours of audio on my Google Drive talking to him. Now, Nene talks about how a tribal citizen is an oxymoron, that we can't be sovereign U.S. citizens. It's like one or the other type of stuff. And he burnt, we have it on film too. He just sent his IDs, all of his government paperwork on fire.
Wow.
Went hardcore. And then we also, remember J.R. Redwater want to enroll his kids because now the government has tabs on something. So this exploration of a sovereign citizen and then you saying something could happen to it, or I'm saying, what if it goes away? Are we truly sovereign in this United States of
Yeah,
America.
but see, that's the thing, and I was surprised to even learn that people that I thought knew differently didn't understand this. It's not our governments, our tribal governments, our federal government, our state government. They're not the ones that are sovereign. We are the ones that's sovereign. We give it to them.
Oh,
We
snap.
give it to them by electing them, by voting for them, by allowing them to do stupid things. That gives them permission to continue to do stupid things. So we have the power to change our tribal governments, right? We have the power to change through voting. And what I'm concerned of is that we're going to have less and less opportunity to assert our sovereignty in that kind of democratic way, right? Because that may not be available to us by the current administration. So we may have to take other kinds of action that are not process and, constitutional driven, because we have no other choice, right? But we've got to decide that as a society, how we want to live, and if this is what we want to continue. And frankly, I don't believe in anything the Republicans have to say. I don't believe anything the Democrats have to say, or the independents, or anyone in our current system, except maybe Bernie Sanders.
He's the sweetest. I love him so much.
The mittens, just if all Congress would just wear the mittens and a hat, I think they could find some humility. But I want to remind people that we are sovereign, and we're the ones that hold the power. And we have to believe that with all of our hearts and every cell in our body. And I think it's even with that intent, walking around in the world knowing that has an effect, right? Because we all live on the spider web together. They've shown, they've done research, and when people meditate all at the same time, it changes the criminal, what's happening in whether any crimes are happening in the area where that meditation is happening. I mean, our thoughts, our intentions have an effect on that around us. And so to me, I think the most important thing that we can do is make sure we're right. We're right with the world, that the thoughts that we're giving attention to, and our intention is focused, and it's about love and light, baby.
Yes.
Oh God, I sound like a stoner or something, don't I? Do I sound like a hippie stoner?
It gets hippie, but like, you're not wrong. And I think you hit a certain age that you really see the cause and effect of that.
Yeah, right? And I got to make a statement though. First off, I think hippies stole that from Indians. I think hippies aren't really hippies. I think Native people are the real hippies.
Yes. Well, we gave them the concepts of
I mean, everything that they believe is.
Man.
Yeah. So I hate to be called a hippie because I'm Native. I'm not a hippie.
No. I make sure to avoid all tie-dye so people know I'm not a hippie. It's a wise old woman. But no, like we said about, living in the cave, then you're not learning. You're not wrong. You're not expanding. You're getting into your own funk and thoughts and kind of validating your own fears and reality because you're just stuck in one vibration or one thing,
What a terrible, ew. Can you imagine living like that? I mean, that's a really hard place to be at. I think about the people who are responsible for Ms. Good's murder and the other kidnappings that are happening. I can't imagine what it must feel like in their hearts, how dark that must be to hold that, what they've done and what they're doing to people. I can't imagine how they can look at themselves in the mirror, pray for their children, or, protect their own loved ones when they're acting. And I mean, it's just.
No, Joy Harjo, had a song off her last album, or poet laureate, but one of her tracks is like, "Tonight I pray for my enemies." And that's such a hard concept to swallow. because you're mad and you're in defense mode and you're trying to figure out how to protect yourself from the next attack and all that noise. But if you calm down and not just pray for yourself and your family and your survival, but pray for your enemies too.
Yeah, exactly. So we just got to get right with ourselves, and we got to remember where we come from, and get some joy harjo, get some
there's your writing
Harjo.
for midterms. We're all going to write in Joy Harjo. Okay, we're starting that. She's gonna wake up one of the candidates and be like, "What the hell just happened?" No, we just happened, Joy. We did.
That would be awesome. I mean, so we should think about the whole cabinet. What should the whole Indian Native government look like?
Martha Redbone, vice president.
Okay.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Who do we want? See, I feel like Tiokasin would be our good Department of Defense secretary because he's so wise but strong, but like knows things,
I'm going to put Gabe Galanda in charge of the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Done. Right. So we'll get this all figured out by the next podcast. We'll let you know
our new ticket.
Yeah. That's like the meanest April Fool's joke you can play on somebody. Good morning. You're now a primary candidate for president.
Good luck. Well, I will say that Deb Haaland, I hope she does well in New Mexico and is successful there. That's a good state.
But it's a ripple effect too of just trusting brown women in charge.
There we go.
So, that's what's funny too. Like everything you were saying about stuff in my head, I'm going, and a woman, right? So there's even just this extra layer to get through just being indigenous or trying to maintain culture. And then you throw in, and you're still just a woman.
Thanks. Just can't, can't win anything.
I'm glad that we are feeling better, less doom and gloom, and all 100 episodes of Red Hoop Talk. So if people just want to binge and start at the beginning, they sure as heck can. And then, for this year, I'm trying to understand food sovereignty, which is like the highest form of anarchy, because in assimilation, the first thing they do is take away the food source. Yeah. So like Chumney Farms and the Franco family, I want to get one of them on to talk about all, how that is close to culture, even though you didn't farm in rows traditionally. Mm-hmm. But how are these practices, or how is culture reflected in farm? It just, interesting stuff. And I want to bug more authors and use that other part of my brain, because I feel like I'm just so emotional all the time that I just run around triggered. I want to calm down and like get more analytical with some of these opinions and solutions. Right. So you push me to want to step up my game every month, and I take this platform not seriously to where it crushes me with anxiety, but I understand what it is. And it's just an honor to be here with y'all month after month.
We're so happy to have you. And the best shows are your shows, Jen. So if you're gonna binge, you want to start somewhere, start with Jen shows, and then maybe go back a little bit and then come back to Jen shows. I really appreciate your work as someone who interviews people.
Well, I'm going to let that sink in. No, I'm like this. I talk this much to the girl in the checkout line. Drives my mom crazy. She's like, what's wrong with you? Because I'm best friends with the lady at the post office. I'm like, call me. It's ridiculous. So
no, that's beautiful. You're connected, man. You're connected with me.
I don't sleepwalk, but a sleep talk. I bet you I do.
Well, get that phone recording and that make a good TikTok video or something.
I probably just end up possessed. Remember the movie Little Nicky where he sounded like Satan in his sleep? That's probably
God.
It won't be anything wise, just terrifying. The end is nigh.
You might have some wise statements or something. You never know.
All right, I'll do that one night that I'm so tired, where you're not fighting anything, you just pass out. I'm gonna hit record and
Do it. I think
what if I just recite lottery numbers? 5 numbers come out. This could be a thing that we're doing.
Yeah. We might be opening up some kind of new channel to the psyche.
I'm the oracle of the association.
What the hell's happening to this Red Hoop Talk Show? I'm not sure.
Yes. All right. Well, you tell me where you want to go, or I never know how to end things because, like I said, you're just so interesting and multifaceted and wise.
Yeah. Well, I do want to recognize, it looks like it says Dine, but I'm going to say Dene Bikaya, or I don't want to pronounce it like I'm from Oklahoma, but I probably didn't do a very good job. In the comments, they're writing about, learn about how to do a writ of habeas corpus because of ICE. I don't know, but they've put some information in the chat if anyone's interested in following that up. And hey, let us know what that's all about. We'd love to know. And NARF has a lot of tools out there about knowing your rights, making sure you understand what it means if you do get approached by ICE, federal agents. So you can protect yourself and folks that you love. Yeah, I guess we just say take care, Jen, and just kind of go off into the sunset.
Yes, and I look forward to, as this repatriation conference comes and, learning about some of the guests, and a lot of the guests that you do become future guests here. Some of the speakers at these conferences and things become future guests. So I look forward to who you bring into your orbit so I can pick and choose who I want to torment once a month.
Excellent.
We got a system.
All right. I think you're cutting out. Should we go ahead and end it?
Copy that. Well, thank you, Shannon O'Loughlin, for being part of the 100th and starting this whole thing. Like, we couldn't have done it without you.
You're most welcome. And be well, everyone. And we'll see you later. Wait, check this out. Goodbye.